The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres' views at the Parliament yesterday reminded political parties and authorities of the need to ensure a victim-centric approach to the transitional justice. After a noteworthy stay, the UN chief has concluded his trip as top brass leaders continue to seek for consensus to conclude the peace process. Good evening, I'm Chitrakar, and these are the headlines of the hour. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal says efforts are underway to find a consensus on the bill related to transitional justice, agrees with UN chief's opinion that the peace process should be victim-centric. Lumbini province government distributes 7 million rupees in grants for farmers to encourage them towards productivity. Over 200 firms working in production of milk and meat benefit. Israeli forces strike again on the Jabalia refugee camp. 3 Palestinians killed in Jenin. The number of Palestinians detained in West Bank alone since October 7 reaches at least 1,590. And New Zealand playing against South Africa at the ICC World Cup 2023. South Africa batting first as New Zealand won the toss at Maharashtra Stadium in Pune. Main opposition CPN-UML has held a tea party to mark the Dashain Tihar and Chhat festivals. The party cadres and well-wishers attended the program held at the party office in Jaisal, Lalitpur from 12 noon earlier today, while high-ranking officials and other guests started attending the program from 2 p.m. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal, Speaker Devraj Khimire, Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba and a leader of CPN Unified Socialist, Jhalnath Khanal, among other government officials, representatives of diplomatic entities and industrialists had attended the tea program. In a brief interaction with the journalist, Prime Minister Dahal said that efforts were underway to reach a consensus on the issue of transitional justice. He said that the dialogue with CPN-UML Chair Oli and Congress President Deuba held earlier today also dwelt on the same issue. Premier Dahal said that the leaders were in favor of the victims as suggested by the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. The guests were welcomed by UML's Chair Oli and a Senior Deputy Chairperson Ishwar Pokhrel among others. CPN-UML organizes tea program during the festivities each year. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has held talks with Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba and main opposition CPN-UML Chairperson KP Sharma Oli to generate consensus on transitional justice. According to the Prime Minister's Secretariat, Premier Dahal held talks with Deuba and Oli at Balwatar today. The parley, which lasted for almost an hour, delved into topics including the bill related to transitional justice. Prime Minister Dahal had also made several efforts in the past by holding dialogue with Oli to seek consensus. However, Oli had said that remaining works of the peace process were yet to conclude because of the Prime Minister. During his Nepal visit, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres had personally met with the senior leaders of political parties, urging them to conclude the works of the peace process. A person has been injured from a shot fired by police in Gotatar of Katmandu. A team of the Valley Crime Investigation took control of Indian national Mohammad Karim, who is alleged of involvement of drug deals. Based on a tip related to drug deals in Gotatar, a team of police had reached the location. Police had to fire shot in response to an attack by drug dealers. Karim was shot in his leg and is undergoing treatment at Kantipur Hospital in Tinkuni. Harka Limbu, a Nepali national, has also been arrested for involvement in drug dealing. Police has also confiscated 200 grams of brown sugar, a set of pistol and 3 rounds of bullets from them. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has left for the United Kingdom after completing his 4-day Nepal visit. Deputy Prime Minister Purna Bahadur Khadka bid a farewell to Guterres at the Tribhuvan International Airport. In his 4-day Nepal visit, Guterres addressed issues including Nepal's transitional justice, impact of climate change in Nepal, and Nepal's contribution for world peace. While addressing the joint meeting of the Federal Parliament, Guterres had urged for concluding the peace process by protecting the rights of the victims. In his address yesterday, Guterres said that transitional justice could be concluded in an inclusive manner by prioritizing the victims. He added that Nepal was not alone in the campaign for minimizing the impact of climate change, and the United Nations was prepared to extend required support. The hearing on the writ application against the presidential pardon granted to Yograj Thakal aka Regal was convicted for murder has concluded. The Supreme Court full bench led by Acting Chief Justice Ishwar Prasad Khatiwada will announce the verdict tomorrow. The bench included Justices Sapna Pradhan Malla and Kumar Chural and heard the writ yesterday and today. Yesterday, senior advocates Balkrishna Neupane and Yagya Nidhi Neupane, among others, had debated on behalf of the writ applicant Bharati Sherpa. Arguments on behalf of the government was done by Attorney General Dinmani Pokhrel, Sanjeev Raj Regmi and Bishwa Raj Koirala. Likewise, on behalf of Thakal, senior advocates Sher Bahadur Kesi and Love Mainali had presented their arguments. In July 2015, Thakal, a local Congress worker, had killed Manandhar in broad daylight with a local weapon. He was convicted of the murder and given 20 years jail by the Bankhe District Court in 2018. Thakal had served 8 years of jail term when his remaining 12 years were pardoned. Lumbini Province government has distributed 7 million rupees in grant to farmers producing dairy products and meat in Dang. Dairy farmers have received 4,399,200 rupees in grant under the province government's incentive program based on results. Farmers producing milk through 7 cooperatives of Dang in fiscal year 2078-79 have been provided grant of 2 rupees per litre. Meanwhile, farmers rearing goat and pigs for meat through 6 cooperatives have been provided 26 rupees per kilo, figuring a total of 2.6 million rupees. A total of 127 cow farms and 108 buffalo farms registered in Dang are in operation. Saima East has been elected as World Health Organization's Regional Director for Southeast Asia for the next 5 years. She won the election by 8-2 vote. In the election held in New Delhi, Wazed defeated Nepal's nominee Shambhu Prasad Acharya. Wazed, who is also the daughter of Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, was nominated by the government of Bangladesh. The World Health Organization's operation in Southeast Asia has 11 nations as member, including Nepal, Bhutan, North Korea, India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Maldives, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Timor-Leste. In the election held today, Myanmar could not vote as it is governed by the military. Regional Director is elected by votes from health ministers of member nations. Federal capital of Nepal, Katmandu, has been included in the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. 350 cities from more than 100 countries had previously been listed in the network. 55 more cities were inducted in the list this time. Katmandu was listed representing the creative field of films. The UNESCO lists cities in the Creative Cities Network under 7 categories that are crafts and folk art, design, film, gastronomy, literature, media arts, and music. According to the UNESCO, newly designated cities will cooperate with network members to strengthen their resilience in the face of evolving threats such as climate change, rising inequality, as well as rapid urbanization, with 68% of the world's population projected to live in the urban areas by 2050. The newly designated creative cities are invited to participate in the 2024 UCCN Annual Conference between July 1 and 5 in 2024 in Braga, Portugal, under the theme Bringing Youth to the Table for the Next Decade. The government has said that preparations have been completed to register birth and death of Nepali nationals from abroad through Nepali diplomatic missions stationed abroad. In the first phase, the service is to be made available in 15 countries that comprise of large number of Nepali nationals. However, children considered the citizens of the country of their birth will not be registered. The Ministry of Home Affairs has finalized procedure to register birth and death of Nepali nationals in foreign countries through Nepali diplomatic entities. The Home Ministry has corresponded with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to appoint officials in this regard. Officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are set to assume the responsibility. Birth or death of Nepali nationals must be registered within 35 days through the designated entities in foreign countries. No fees will be charged for this. However, if it is not done within the deadline, fine is applicable. Birth can be registered by mother, father, or other family members that are above 18 years. Meanwhile, registration of death requires Nepali citizenship certificate or passport of the deceased and death certificate issued by hospital. Such information can be registered online. The initiative is to begin from Malaysia, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, among other countries, where death of Nepali migrant workers is high. The provision is believed to provide ease to family members to claim insurance and compensation after the death of a migrant worker. Works of the Koshi Refreshment Center, which was put forward as a pride project by the first government of the Koshi province, has been left stranded because of lack of political stability. The government led by erstwhile Chief Minister Sherdan Rai had begun the construction works of the multi-year Province Pride project, the Koshi Refreshment Center in Koshi Rural Municipality of Sunsari 5 years ago. A separate office was established and construction works were taken forward. However, the office was scrapped by the government led by Rajendra Rai, another chief minister from CPN Unified Socialist. Works have remained stranded after a meeting of the Province Council of Ministers scrapped the office of the centre in Inarwa, Sunsari and assigned the project under the Urban Development Office, Morang. Works of the project have yet to gain momentum as the province government is yet to expedite procedures in an efficient manner. Despite concluding works of land procurement and beginning with construction of infrastructures, other aspects have not been initiated because of inadequate budget. It was said that works of 270,519,000 rupees were to begin for the mega project, which is expected to cost 2 billion rupees. Despite the target completion period of 3 years, only 10% works of the physical infrastructures of the project have been completed so far. Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question: what should be done to make electricity accessible to all Nepalese? Your options are A. Raise production, B. Expand transmission line, and C. Adequate investment. Voting is on. Tap any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for international update. As the sun set over Gaza's Nuseirat refugee camp yesterday, rescuers searched for survivors under the rubble of a 6-story residential building that was struck by Israeli airstrikes. Residents of the area said at least 41 people were killed in the attack and dozens more were still under the rubble. Israel has vowed to wipe out Hamas for the worst assault on Jews since the Holocaust on October 7 with a relentless onslaught in the Gaza Strip. However, it does not appear to have an obvious endgame in sight. Israeli tanks have been acting in Gaza for at least 4 days following weeks of air bombardments. Yesterday, airstrikes hit another densely populated refugee camp in the Gaza Strip, killing at least 50 Palestinians. Flares were seen falling from the skies over in Gaza since before break of dawn, and multiple blasts were heard throughout the morning today as Israel intensified ground operations in the besieged enclave. Israel sent its forces into Gaza following weeks of air bombardments in retaliation for the attack by Iran-backed Hamas, and Israel Defense Forces statement said the airstrikes on Jabalia, Gaza's largest refugee camp, had killed Ibrahim Biari, a Hamas commander it said was pivotal in the planning and execution of the assault. Hamas spokesperson Hazim Qasim denied any senior commander was in the camp and called the claim an Israeli pretext for killing civilians. Palestinian health officials said at least 50 Palestinians were killed and 150 wounded. A Hamas statement said there were 400 dead and injured in Jabalia, which houses families of refugees from wars with Israel dating back to 1948. The Israeli military said 11 soldiers were also killed in fighting in Gaza yesterday, the biggest one-day loss for armed forces since Hamas gunmen attacked southern Israel on October 7, killing about 300 soldiers and some 1,100 civilians. 8 trucks crossed from Egypt's side of Rafah into Gaza today to transfer the injured to hospitals in North Sinai and deliver aid. Qatar had mediated an agreement between Egypt, Israel and Hamas in coordination with the US, which will allow limited evacuations from besieged Gaza. The agreement would allow foreign passport holders and some critically injured people to leave through the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza, though there is no timeline for how long it will remain open for evacuation. The deal is not linked to other issues under negotiation, such as hostages held by Hamas, the Palestinian Islamist group that governs Gaza, or pauses designed to ease a humanitarian crisis in the enclave, which is suffering from food, water, fuel and medical shortages. Israel sent its forces into Gaza following weeks of air bombardments in retaliation for a major attack by Iran-backed Hamas on October 7. Bolivia's government has said it had broken diplomatic ties with Israel, accusing Israel of committing crimes against humanity in its attacks on the Gaza Strip. Deputy Foreign Minister Freddy Mamani announced at a press conference Bolivia has decided to break diplomatic relations with the Israeli state in repudiation and condemnation of the aggressive and disproportionate Israeli military offensive taking place in the Gaza Strip. Interim Foreign Minister Maria Nela Prada said the press conference had been called in reference to the crimes against humanity being committed in the Gaza Strip against the Palestinian people. Bolivia is among the first countries to actively break diplomatic relations with Israel over its war in Gaza, retaliation for an October 7 attack in southern Israel by Palestinian Hamas militants that Israel says killed 1,400 people and took 240 hostages. The South American country had previously cut diplomatic ties with Israel in 2009 under the government of leftist President Evo Morales, also in protest of Israel's actions in Gaza. In 2020, the government of right-wing interim President Jeanine Áñez re-established ties. Bushfires blazed across northern New South Wales in Australia, while the country continues to battle blazes in Queensland that have killed at least 2 people and destroyed dozens of homes. Footages showed a burnt train track and a rural fire service vehicle that had been overturned by the side of a road. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal says efforts are underway to find a consensus on the bill related to transitional justice. Agrees with UN Chief's opinion that the peace process should be victim-centric. Lumini Province government distributes 7 million rupees in grants for farmers to encourage them towards productivity. Over 200 firms working in production of milk and meat benefit. Israeli forces strike again on the Jabalia refugee camp, 3 Palestinians killed in Jenin. The number of Palestinians detained in West Bank since October 7 reaches 1,590. And South Africa gives New Zealand a target of 358 runs at the ICC Men's One-Day International Cricket World Cup match currently underway in Pune. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.